What's up everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. So we all know that Avengers Infinity War was one of the biggest movies of the year, and I'm really trying to stay away from the internet with the next film. I know that there's already leaks and screenshots of where the storyline is going, and of course we know that it differs very much from what we see in the comics, and that's one of the reasons I want to stay away. I kind of want to be surprised and see what direction they go into. The conversation is definitely heated though, and there's a lot of speculation, which makes the anticipation of the next film probably even more tremendous than the first. But one thing we can all agree on is that the Avengers license is a money-making juggernaut. There's a lot of competition out there, and we don't see any signs of slowing, especially with this character. Today we're going to be looking at Diamond Select Toys' version of the Black Widow, the Avengers Infinity War statue. Let's take a closer look. You know, as a trained assassin, the Black Widow really has to be kind of like a chameleon, always changing her look to suit the occasion. Now I personally like the blonde look, mostly because I like variety, but I also think it's a nice departure from the traditional Black Widow look. Now this is certainly not a bad looking head sculpt. Unfortunately, it in no way does resemble Scarlett Johansson, and that's a real shame. Now on its own, it does look really great. The paint job is done very well, there's no QC issues, and I especially love the way they did her eyes, so overall looks great. It just doesn't look like Scarlett Johansson. Now the midsection of this piece is pretty interesting, and I guess in many ways the color palette actually makes sense since they're in Wakanda. I love the olive drop green here. It looks amazing, offset against the black, and it is really more militaristic than other costumes we've seen. Looks pretty cool. The textures here are also done very well, and there's subtle details between the shades of black and the shades of gray. They're not really noticeable because of the lighting that I'm using, but they are there, and it is pretty awesome. Now the lower section of this piece is really where it's very impressive, and I absolutely love the art style and direction that they went in here. The stance is fantastic. I love that she's actually leaping on something. It really gives her a sense of power. There is some great detail on her legs, especially in the boots. I mean, just take a look at that. And as I mentioned before, there's a nice offset color between the gray tones and the black tones, which really make it look nice. I also like the fact that one of her boots or one of her legs are really off the base. It just looks really cool, and it screams diamond. Of course, one of Black Widow's signature weapons, especially in Infinity War, is her dual-wielding batons. Now this one is actually put together to make kind of like a lance or a staff, and it looks pretty good. And while not ultra detailed, there is enough there that it really is comparable to the rest of the piece, and it doesn't look awkward. I also like the length of it. I don't think it's too long or too short. It's just in the right sweet spot. Overall, they did a really great job here, and it only complements the piece, and the fact that she's wielding it behind her arm really gives it that extra sense of diamondism. Now look, we're all adults here, and we all know that Scarlett Johansson has some very unique assets. I imagine that had a part to play in how they designed the reverse side of this piece. And it does look really awesome. Apart from the fact that there's a nice set of detail, you also get a real sense of the color palette. And of course, you do have that signature thing about Scarlett Johansson, and it does look spectacular. And there's also a lot of detail, but most importantly, you see the engineering, if you can pay attention to it, and how well this piece goes with the actual base. So definitely mirror this one is my point. Now I do have to admit, I've been increasingly impressed with Diamond Select Toys' version in the art style and direction that they're going with their bases. They are definitely a lot more intricate, and really a slice of action is the best way that I can describe it. Now here we have a lot of things at play. The crate looks very nice. I also like the stone and the bars. They are done very well, and they look very organic and very real looking. I think overall it goes really well with this piece, and it's funny because you can inject this as a bookcase or some kind of book stop, and it looks really cool, guys. Now this is a very interesting piece, and I've been going back and forth with it. Now I can't exactly give it my holy grail seal of approval, mostly because it's readily available and the price point. It's only about 40 bucks. But I do have to say, this still is a very unique piece, and if you're not buying it for Scarlett Johansson, which it's clearly not completely representative of, this is still a really awesome, and I have to say, standalone piece of Black Widow, so I highly recommend it. Now before I go, I just want to thank the folks over at Big Bad Toy Store for sending this wonderful piece over for review, and if you're interested in this and other collectibles, please visit www.bigbadtoystore.com. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Diamond Select Toys' version of the Black Widow, the Avengers Infinity War statue. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.
Better die, you may be friend, you may be foe, you feel the wrath of Black Widow. As a child, was forced to fight. My whole existence, sacrifice was in the dark. Seen the light, now I fight for what is right, what is right. Assassination came in 1999. Graduated killer trained by Russian design. A psychopathic agent reconfigured my mind. Engineered for Mortal Kombat, I'm ahead of my time. An expert in anatomy, repress my insanity. Product dead designer, infiltrate the deepest cavity. Danger to humanity, inflicting my brutality. I creep inside your mind to reconstruct your mentality. Face to face in battle, there is no guarantee. Leading with your life, assassin ex-KGB. But deep within my heart that lies a lost purity. Still my soul was gone, but it was stolen from me.